In Lioness Season 2, Episode 4, titled 500 Children, Jo McNamara and her team face new challenges as their mission in Mexico grows increasingly complex. As they continue to work undercover to bring down the Los Tigres cartel, a brutal organization with links to both China and the Mexican government, Jo's faith in her new lioness, Captain Josefina Carrillo, begins to waver. What starts as a routine mission becomes a nightmare when the team makes a shocking discovery in a cartel-controlled warehouse. Trust issues with Josefina. After a rocky introduction in Episode 3, Jo isn't sure she can trust Josefina. Her suspicions arise when Josefina lies about not knowing Spanish and her connection to Alvaro Carrillo, the leader of the Los Tigres cartel and Josefina's uncle. Jo brings up her concerns with Caitlin Meade and Byron Westfield, both senior CIA officials, who advise her to monitor Josefina closely. They suggest bringing back Cruz Manuelos, the lioness from Season 1, as a shadow to keep an eye on Josefina. This setup leads Jo and her team into a tense episode filled with cooperation and conflict between U.S. agencies. The DEA, led by Agent Gutierrez, becomes involved when they confront Jo about her movements in Mexico, worried that the CIA's activities might overlap with theirs. A series of risky decisions unfold as Jo, Kyle McManus, and Cruz get roped into a joint mission that ends in a disturbing revelation. Why the CIA operated in Mexico. The story so far has revealed that every U.S. agency wants a piece of the mission pie in Mexico, especially after a recent rescue mission made waves in Washington. Agencies like the DEA and Border Control want the credit and resources that come with this operation, putting extra pressure on Jo and her team. Jo's mission becomes even more challenging as she's required to work alongside Gutierrez and the DEA, which means coordinating a raid on a warehouse close to the U.S.-Mexico border. The team's goal is to disrupt the cartel's drug operations, but what they find inside the warehouse shocks them to their core. The shocking discovery in the warehouse. When Jo and her team infiltrate the warehouse, they expect to uncover drugs, the cartel's usual illicit product. However, what they find is far worse. The cartel isn't just involved in drug smuggling, they're trafficking women and children. This moment is the episode's turning point, revealing the true depths of the cartel's crimes and the stakes of Jo's mission. Jo is horrified to see hundreds of people held captive in deplorable conditions, all awaiting their grim fate. The cartel's shift from drug smuggling to human trafficking elevates the danger and complexity of Jo's operation, forcing her to reevaluate her priorities and strategies. Jo quickly adapts to this tragic discovery by placing a tracker in the shoe of a young girl, hoping that another team can follow up and rescue them later. While they can't liberate everyone in the warehouse, the tracker gives the CIA a lead to plan a future intervention. The role of Josefina and the Mexican police. A critical aspect of this episode is Josefina's role in the air as backup. When Mexican police officers, likely paid off by the cartel, approach the warehouse, Jo makes the difficult call to have Josefina open fire on them. Josefina hesitates, but Jo's authority and the necessity of the mission push her to follow through, taking down the officers. This tense moment not only underscores Jo's willingness to make ruthless decisions for the mission but also puts Josefina in a position where she must prove her loyalty and determination to the Lioness program. The shootout raises questions about the Mexican police's role in cartel operations and hints at widespread corruption, making it evident that Jo's mission is not just a simple drug bust, but a much larger fight against a deeply embedded criminal network. With Josefina's trustworthiness still in question, her actions here make or break her standing within the team. What's next for Jo, Josefina, and the CIA's mission? The tragic human trafficking revelation forces the CIA, DEA, and other agencies to reassess their approach. The mission, which was initially focused on dismantling a drug network, now has a new, darker objective, exposing and disrupting the cartel's human trafficking operations. This shift heightens the stakes for everyone involved, especially Josefina, whose undercover status places her in a precarious position. With only 4 episodes left in the season, Episode 5 will likely dive deeper into Josefina's mission, the introduction of her family, and the cartel's growing threats. As Jo's team wrestles with the moral implications of their mission, the consequences of their decisions will continue to test their resolve. Paramount Plus releases new episodes every Sunday at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, leading up to an intense finale scheduled for December 8th. Lioness Season 2, Episode 4, reveals that the cartel's influence reaches far beyond drugs, forcing Jo and her team to confront the horrifying reality of human trafficking. It's clear that the mission is only becoming more complicated, and as Josefina's loyalty is tested, the Lioness program's future is on the line.